April 1945. The waters off Okinawa boil with war. The largest amphibious assault of the Pacific Campaign is underway, and the Imperial Japanese Navy has unleashed its most desperate weapon, the Kamikaze. Hundreds of pilots, flying their planes straight into Allied ships, turn the sea into a graveyard of twisted steel and fire. The U.S. Navy, battered and bloodied, fights to survive wave after wave of suicide attacks. But what if in the midst of this chaos, a single ship appeared, one decades ahead of its time? What if an Aegis Destroyer bristling with radar and missiles joined the fleet at Okinawa? Would modern layered air defense have blunted the Kamikaze threat and changed the course of the battle? Chapter 1. The Kamikaze Storm. The Battle of Okinawa was a crucible of innovation and desperation. The Japanese, outnumbered and outgunned, turned to the Kamikaze, pilots who would sacrifice themselves to sink American ships. Over 1,500 kamikaze sorties were launched during the campaign, striking with terrifying speed and ferocity. Destroyers, carriers, and transports all became targets. The U.S. Navy's radar picket line, a thin screen of destroyers and smaller ships, bore the brunt of the assault. In just 3 months, more than 30 American ships were sunk and hundreds more damaged. The cost in lives was staggering. The Kamikaze was a weapon of psychological as well as physical destruction. Sailors watched helplessly as planes dove out of the sun, too fast and too numerous for the guns to stop them all. Even the most advanced radar and fire control of the era struggled to keep up. The Navy's 5-inch guns, 40mm Bofors, and 20mm Ehrlichens filled the sky with flak, but the attackers kept coming. The picket destroyers, isolated and exposed, were often overwhelmed. The question is, what if one of those picket ships wasn't a Fletcher-class destroyer, but a 21st century Aegis Destroyer? Imagine the USS John Paul Jones, a modern Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, suddenly appearing off Okinawa in April 1945. Its angular hull and superstructure are unlike anything the sailors of the time have ever seen. But it's what's inside that truly sets it apart. The heart of the ship is the Aegis Combat System, centered on the SPY-1 phased array radar. This radar can track hundreds of targets simultaneously, sweeping the sky for threats at ranges far beyond the reach of World War II technology. The ship bristles with vertical launch cells, each one capable of firing a standard missile, SM-2 or SM-6, at incoming aircraft. Closer in, the ship is protected by the Phalanx CIWS, a radar-guided Gatling gun that spits out 4,500 rounds per minute, creating a wall of lead against anything that gets through. The destroyer's crew, trained for modern missile warfare, is ready to face a threat they've only read about in history books: the Kamikaze. The first Kamikaze raid of the day approaches. Dozens of Japanese planes, some carrying bombs, others simply loaded with fuel, streak toward the picket line. In 1945, the warning would come from a radar operator squinting at a cathode ray tube, relaying bearings to the gunners by voice. But on the Aegis Destroyer, the SPY-1 radar picks up the raid at over 200 kilometers. The Combat Information Center comes alive. Threats are classified, prioritized, and assigned to missile batteries in seconds. The order is given: engage. Hatches slide open and a ripple of SM-2 missiles leap skyward, each guided by radar and inertial navigation. The missiles streak out, arcing high above the fleet and then diving down on the incoming planes. Explosions blossom in the sky as the first wave is shattered at a distance no World War II gun could reach. The surviving kamikazes press on, but the destroyer's radar tracks them continuously, updating firing solutions in real time. The Aegis Destroyer doesn't rely on a single line of defense. As the surviving attackers close in, the ship's 5-inch gun, now computer-controlled and radar-guided, opens fire. Shells burst in the path of the oncoming planes, filling the air with shrapnel. Closer still, the failing CIWS comes to life, its radar locking onto targets and its barrel spinning up to a deafening roar. Kamikazes that slip through the missile and gunfire face a final withering hail of tungsten rounds. The result is devastating. Planes that would have crashed into the ship in 1945 are shredded or blown apart before they can get close. The destroyer weaves through the debris, its sensors already searching for the next threat. The crew, drilled in damage control and missile reloads, stands ready for another wave. The Japanese are nothing if not determined. As the day wears on, they change tactics. Some kamikazes approach low over the water, hoping to evade radar. Others come in from multiple directions, trying to saturate the defenses. In 1945, these tactics often worked. Ships were hit, sometimes by planes that appeared out of nowhere. But the Aegis system is designed for saturation attacks. Its computers track every blip, every echo, distinguishing friend from foe in a sea of confusion. The destroyer's electronic warfare suite jams enemy radios, disrupting coordination. Its helicopters, equipped with their own sensors and weapons, hunt for threats beyond the horizon. Even when a few kamikazes manage to get close, the ship's armor and compartmentalization limit the damage. Fires are contained, systems rerouted, and the ship fights on. Word spreads through the fleet. The new destroyer on the picket line is nearly untouchable. Where other ships are battered and burning, the Aegis ship stands unscathed. Its radar provides early warning for the entire sector, allowing nearby ships to prepare for attacks. Its missiles and guns create a protective umbrella, not just for itself, but for the vulnerable carriers and transports behind it. The psychological effect is profound. For the Americans, the fear of the kamikaze is replaced by a sense of invincibility. For the Japanese, the weapon of last resort becomes a symbol of futility. The kamikaze, once a symbol of unstoppable resolve, becomes a futile gesture. Let's look at the numbers. During the actual Battle of Okinawa, over 1,500 kamikaze sorties resulted in the sinking of 34 ships and damage to nearly 400 more. The radar picket destroyers suffered the highest losses, with some ships hit by multiple planes in a single day. The Navy's anti-aircraft guns, though effective, simply couldn't keep up with the volume and speed of the attacks. With an Aegis destroyer on the line, the calculus changes. The ship's radar can track hundreds of targets at once, and its missile magazines hold dozens of interceptors. Even if only half the missiles hit their targets, the number of kamikazes reaching the fleet drops dramatically. The few that get through face a gauntlet of gunfire and close-in weapons. The result is fewer ships sunk, fewer lives sacrificed, and a fleet that can press the attack with confidence. The presence of a single Aegis destroyer doesn't just protect itself, it changes the entire battle. The Japanese, seeing their kamikaze shot down in droves, might reconsider the value of suicide attacks. Resources spent on training and arming kamikaze pilots could be diverted elsewhere, or the attacks might be called off altogether. The U.S. Navy, emboldened by its new shield, could take greater risks, landing troops faster and pushing the offensive harder. The psychological impact on both sides cannot be overstated. For the Americans, the fear of the kamikaze is replaced by a sense of invincibility. For the Japanese, the weapon of last resort becomes a symbol of futility. The Battle of Okinawa, already one of the bloodiest of the war, might end sooner and with fewer casualties. But even the most advanced ship has its limits. Missile magazines can run dry. The enemy can adapt, launching attacks at night or in bad weather when sensors are less effective. A lucky hit can still cripple a ship, no matter how modern. And the presence of a single advanced destroyer doesn't eliminate the need for coordination, training, and courage. Yet the Aegis Destroyer's layered defense, radar, missiles, guns, and electronic warfare represents a quantum leap over anything available in 1945. It's not invincible, but it's as close as any ship has ever come. So, would a modern Aegis Destroyer have blunted the Kamikaze threat at Okinawa? The answer is a resounding yes. Its sensors would have seen the enemy coming from over the horizon. Its missiles would have thinned the ranks of attackers before they could threaten the fleet. Its guns and close-in weapons would have finished the job.
The result, fewer ships lost, fewer lives sacrificed, and a battle that might have ended sooner. But the lesson is larger than any one ship or battle. Technology changes the face of war, but it's the people on both sides who bear the cost. The kamikaze pilots of 1945 and the sailors who faced them fought with everything they had. In the end, the Aegis Destroyer is a symbol of how far we've come, and a reminder of the price paid by those who came before. The sea off Okinawa would still be a place of courage and sacrifice, but with a ship from the future on the line, the story might have ended very differently.